Hey everyone, what's going on? Welcome to the channel, and thank you so much for taking your own time out to check out this spoiler-free and spoiler review of Evil Dead Rise. Now, not usually my normal setup as you guys normally see. I'm actually here with my awesome partner, Emma.
Hi.
And yeah, last time we did kind of like a collaboration discussion was for Halloween Ends back in around, I think, October time last year. And the reason I wanted to bring Emma on for this collab is it's great to have her on the channel anyway, but Evil Dead is more her forte than it is mine. So yeah, Emma, I'll take it over to you first, just do a quick introduction into kind of your past experiences with Evil Dead.
So, I'm a huge Evil Dead fan, obviously. Basically, I remember watching Evil Dead for the first time when I was in, I want to say I was in year 6 or year 7 at school, so I was about like 12, 13 maybe. One of the girls at school gave us the DVDs and that was it. I was just like, oh my god, this is like a gateway for me. And I've watched it religiously since. It's like my favourite franchise of everything, and I just hold like a very special place in my heart for it, for Bruce, for Sam, for everything in it. Yeah, so just a huge Evil Dead fan.
Yeah, so Emma's experience with Evil Dead is a lot more than mine, because like as Emma explained, she's seen every single one of the movies.
And TV show.
And the TV show, of course, Ash v Evil Dead. Whereas I've only ever seen the first original movie, the 2013 remake, and now this one. So I don't really know a lot of the references and Easter eggs, but of course we'll get into that. Emma knows a lot of that stuff. So before we do dive into that, just to let you guys know, the writer and director here is Lee Cronin, who has previously done a movie called The Hole in the Ground.
Good movie.
Yeah, it was kind of like a small Irish kind of horror movie. I think we watched that during COVID, if I'm not mistaken, which we actually both enjoyed. So it's nice to see him do like another project, which is really cool. Cast we've got is Lily Sullivan, who plays Beth. Alyssa Sutherland, I think if that's how I say it, is Ellie. Gabrielle Echols as Bridget. Morgan Davies as Danny. And Nell Fisher as Cassie. The plot we've got here is two estranged sisters. A reunion is cut short by the rise of flesh-possessing demons, thrusting them into a primal battle for survival. Before we kind of talk about that, we'll just talk very quickly about like our excitement level for this movie. Me personally, I saw the trailer and I thought, wow, this looks really cool. I like the 2013 remake. That's my personal favourite. Which one's your personal favourite?
My personal favourite's got to be the first ever one, the original. Just how low budget it was, the story behind it, the fact that it was a video nasty for a long time. Like, I've got a huge love for it. Nothing will ever beat that one. But there's not been a bad part of the franchise. Like, it's always been good, but the first one's just elite.
Yeah, and I think one thing I really love about the first movie is like all the backstory that Emma told me around and all like the trivia, which of course stems from Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell's like real life friendship as well. So what was your excitement level going into this one?
I was hesitant. Like, I was jazzed that it was coming out and, you know, everything like that. You used to have been in a cabin and they were going into a high-rise flat, and I was just like, well, it's in the mainland, it's part, like, you know, it's near civilization, and that's where the Deadites want to go. They want to take over as many people as possible. So it's in the city, so where are they going to go from it? So I was a bit like, I don't know, I was a bit hesitant about it. And I did enjoy it. It was really good. And like, I'm pleased they didn't just do like a rinse and repeat of the last one, because I feel like they could all just be copy and pasted, and they went in a different direction, which was good. But yeah, I was hesitant going into it, but I think that's just me being like a snob really about it all.
Well, especially when you've got more experience with the whole franchise and you've of course seen all these movies, you've seen the TV show, whereas myself, I've only seen the 2 movies as I explained before, so I have far less experience with this franchise than Emma does. So definitely kind of mixed reactions in terms of going in for this movie. What I will say is after checking out this movie tonight, yeah, we both kind of like walked out with the same reaction and both said it was a good movie, it was a well-made one, but something felt missing. And we'll dive more into that, I guess, into them to like the spoiler territory. But I think it was both a movie that we weren't really, like, a lot of people's been giving this movie a lot of hype. And that's understandable. If you really love this movie, that's great, and I'm absolutely glad you guys had an amazing time. We didn't really get that kind of same levels. Do you kind of agree, or do you have anything else?
I didn't come out being like, oh my god, and like punching the air and stuff like that.
Max, our cat.
Bye, Max. I came out and I was a bit. I was like, it was good. I enjoyed it. It was nice. So it's not a movie that I'm gonna like rush out and go see the whole time it's out in the cinemas. I will watch it again when I'm binging the whole franchise again. I will say though, it felt a bit disjointed. It could have just been a possession movie and I would have still enjoyed it. So I think, it's got Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell down as executive producers. So they were part of it. And I know Bruce Campbell said he was going to be all over it like a cheap suit, but I didn't really see it. I didn't see the evil deadness of it. It was there, but maybe that's the vibe they were going for. They didn't want it to be glaring. And maybe that's the issue I've had with it, but if it was just a possession movie, I would have been like, oh, that's a really good movie. So I don't know, I feel like I can't express how I feel properly because I'm still trying to process it myself.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. And I know after the movie as well, Emma did like a little bit more research into it and kind of like the trivia and stuff. So we'll get into a little bit of that in to wrap up the spoiler-free portion, which we'll also mention here. We've got the music done by Stephen McKeown, who was a composer for The Hole in the Ground. So he has worked with Lee Cronin before. I felt like the music worked pretty well.
Yeah, I thought it was really good, the music.
Yeah, I felt like it added to kind of like the atmosphere. They were trying to add into certain scenes, and there was a couple of scenes that I think like had those tension-filled moments here. Cinematography we've got is Dave Garbett, who did 14 episodes of Ash v Evil Dead.
I love the series. So like, yeah, they had everybody on that loved Evil Dead, and it was really well taken care of, and it was beautifully shot. The story was good, the sound was good, the special effects were amazing.
Right.
It was, everybody's done a really, really good job in the movie.
Well, with that special effects is, I haven't exactly got like a specific person per se. I think it was in the credits. I can't quite remember. But I do know that it was 16 people involved in the makeup and special effects and stuff as well. So probably bigger shout out to them guys because the practical effects were great. And I think you said
6,500 litres of fake blood used.
Is that the most ever in cinema?
I'm not sure. I don't know if they used more in the last one with the blood rain.
Right.
But my god, it was really good. It was so good.
Performances all round were really good, especially from Alyssa Sutherland, who plays Ellie.
Very good. Very, very good.
As Ellie or Mommy, I guess you can say. She was definitely probably the highlight of the movie, along with Lily Sullivan, character of Beth. I felt like the two women definitely held the movie down. And yeah, have you got any kind of final thoughts for this spoiler-free portion?
Just go in with an open mind. I feel like that was my problem. I went in excited for an Evil Dead movie. Go in with an open mind if you haven't seen it already, and let us know what your thoughts are down in the comments below. I've always wanted to say that. Yeah, because I feel like if you go in as a fan, I feel like you're going to scrutinise it and you're going to be looking for the Easter eggs and stuff like that. And it takes you out the movie, and I think that's been my main problem. So I wish I went in blind than I went in to it as. I mean, I didn't really watch many of the trailers. I didn't watch many, things before I've been in to see it. So I was pleasantly surprised, but, it was good.
Right. Good. Yeah, I think that kind of sums it up better than I could do it, and you guys have seen my face for 4.5 years on the channel. So, yeah, that concludes our spoiler-free portion. We are going to go into spoilers now, so if you want to stick around and hear them, awesome. If you don't, check out the movie first, come back, check out the spoiler portion, and certainly let us know your thoughts as well, as Emma said, in the comments down below. I think one of the highlights immediately as this movie starts is the drone footage that's used. It opens up in quite a unique way. And how they introduced the title card of the movie for me.
Very good.
I thought I was like, wow, okay, we're on board for a really great movie here, because I really liked it as I think the girl's name was Jess, the one who gets possessed. When she gets possessed and she comes out of the water, that is in the trailer, which I think the trailer does show a lot of this movie, and it's only an hour and a half long. Now, I only saw the one trailer. I think you did as well.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Right. But I do know they have done like extended trailers and TV spots, whatever, which I don't get how you can do that in an hour and a half movie. It kind of shows everything that happens. But yeah, either way, opens up really strong. It starts up with like these 3 kids going to like this lake kind of cabin, so to say, for a breakaway, whatever happens. Then it cuts to a sign that says 1 day earlier, so we kind of get a little bit of backstory. However, the story's not focused on those 3 that we first see. It's focused on this family, and straight away Ellie and Beth, you can tell, have got a bit of history with, of course, being sisters, but kind of a past that isn't explored a lot, but it's explored enough to give you kind of a little bit of an example.
So yeah, going back to the cold opening, so the kids are in the cabin and it's your typical like drone shot, so it's like the beginning of Evil Dead 1 where you're going all the way through the woods and stuff, and it's like this girl and she doesn't like her cousin's boyfriend, and so she goes in, she's talking to the cousin's just lying on the bed, and you're like, oh, she's a deadite. And then she's reading Wuthering Heights. She's reading a book, and it's a bit like in the first one where like they're playing the cards and they're like ace of spades, da da da. But she's reading Wuthering Heights and she's got her back turned to her, hasn't she? And that was really cool. And then she gets scalped, this girl, and it was
nasty.
It was brutal. And it's hard to explain it, but it was a really, really good cold opening. And I was just like, if this is the pace that we're going to be going through the whole movie, it's going to be a really good hour and a half. And to be fair, it was a very quick paced movie. It got more or less straight into everything. It set the tone of the movie. It was like, this is going to be bloody, this is going to be like something else, and it was. And anyway, as he said, it sets to 1 day earlier, and then I was just like, well, why are we doing that for? Because surely we should be focusing in like this being the start of it. But it makes sense at the end. It's the 2 sisters. One of the sisters is on the road. She is a technician, but then everyone's calling her a groupie, but she's a band technician and she's like really proud of what she does. She comes back because she thinks she's pregnant, and the whole thing's focusing on like motherhood. I thought it was like motherhood, absent mums, the same as like the other one, like the Evil Dead remake. It always has like a family focused sort of plot to it. They go to the house, they go to the high-rise flat, and they're on the top floor, they're on the 14th floor, and there is the mum who's going through a divorce, there's the 3 kids, and then now the sister there, and then there's an earthquake, and it opens up a vault. So it used to be like a bank vault, and the young lad, the son, he goes underneath and finds the Necronomicon, one of the versions of the Necronomicon, and 3 vinyls, brings it back up into his room, and like any young kid goes, oh, I'm gonna listen to it. And
yeah, it's a great idea.
And to be fair, I was watching it and I was like, what a dumb guy. But then I was like, I would do it, because like how many times have you been told not to press a button and you're just like don't tell me what to do. So I would probably do the same thing as well. And that's where all the possession started. So there's a reason why it's happening in the high rise. It's not, it's not just out of nowhere. It's not just like Ash has dropped his book somewhere, you know what I mean? It
gives it a purpose.
It gives it a purpose, yeah.
So
and I thought it was a good reason for the book to be there, because it goes into it a bit more. So the priests, they find 3 versions of the Book of the Dead, and they read from it, and then, but this is back in the 20s, and then all hell breaks loose. They're recording it, but on a vinyl instead of a cassette player, like in the other ones.
I like that, though.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. I thought it was of its time. They said there's no way to stop it apart from full-on dismemberment, which is like all the other movies. And then they buried the book, didn't they?
Yeah, buried it for however long it's been buried for, down in a bank vault.
And a cool bit of trivia, so when you're listening to the record, when you're listening to like them going like, the Book of the Dead, the Necronomicon Ex Mortis, stuff like that, it's there's a part where they're like don't read from it. It's called The Book of the Dead for the reason. And that's Bruce Campbell's cameo, and people are saying that it's him travelling through time from his Army of Darkness timeline, which I thought was really funny to think about. Like, still trying to stop it from happening, but always failing. Give it a good purpose. Like, there's a reason why this book's there, why it's a different book to all the other books in the movie as well, because it's got these weird, like, fangs and teeth, hasn't it, to open it.
And I don't think I've ever noticed fangs in the book.
No,
in the movies,
no.
The two movies I've seen, I don't think it's ever had, like,
well, it's always got,
fangs.
like, its little face on it. But it reminded me of the book from Harry Potter. I was just like, are we in, like, a bit of a...
multiverse?
Yeah, multiverse of madness. And that's when, like, the mum goes into the lift, and it was a cool scene where she's in the lift and all of the wires and cables from the lift, like, wrap around her arms, leg, neck, and it's a bit reminiscent of, like, every single time what the trees do that. The trees come and get,
Yeah.
So I thought it was really cool because, again, they've managed to take what is known of the franchise but do it in this urban like area, and so everything that was done was like really well thought out, I thought, in that sense.
It's still kind of like a callback as well.
But then as soon as she gets possessed, what's she called again? Alyssa.
Alyssa Sutherland?
As soon as she gets possessed, my goodness, she is tenacious. She's mint. Like,
yeah, she's really good.
Terrifying.
Really good.
As a side note, she's coming to For the Love of Horror in November, a little horror con that's in England. And I think off the back of that, I'm going to have to go meet her because she was fantastic. So good.
Yeah, I felt that she was... I agree. Yeah, I felt that she was really good. I felt that when she was on screen, and especially as it builds the story right at the beginning where she's got these 3 kids... And all of a sudden you're like, Mom, like, are you okay? Like, what? Because obviously they think the mom's dead because she does die, so to say. And when she comes back to life, they're obviously in shock and they don't know what to do.
Mommy's with the maggots now.
Yeah, I thought that was a great
line.
Like, really, really good writing in the script with that line anyway. And yeah, I agree with Emma. I think she was terrifying. She definitely had, like, a presence on screen to be feared, and it wasn't the case of she was trying to be fearsome and you didn't really feel it. I felt like, wow, she was a terrifying figure. And like any kind of horror movie, she uses tropes where they put on, like, the actual human voice, so to say, to try get into a house or get into a building or whatever they're trying to do to try trick someone, so to say. So it has a couple of tropes in here, for sure. Not in a bad way, but it has those tropes. So we do get that introduction to Beth at the beginning about being a groupie and doing a pregnancy test, which is kind of like 2 minutes, if that, really, and then she's straight back home. Yeah, it kind of explores the past quite a bit about the family in terms of, like, through dialogue. Not really flashbacks, but you just get, like, a bit of exposition, I guess, so to say. And then as the movie kind of goes on, of course, you're going to get, like, deadites. You're going to have things that happen where it affects the kids, which I thought was really, really good, because the kid who does start this whole thing off, Danny, played by Morgan Davies, I didn't like him at all. To be honest, I don't know about you, but I wasn't a fan of him.
I was rooting for him. I really was, just because I felt like he fucked up, but he was going to make it right.
Yeah, I mean, of course he tried to. At the same time, what I found funny was Bridget, the sister played by Gabrielle Echols. She was like, yeah, Danny, put that book down. We're going to take that back down to the vault tomorrow morning. As soon as she leaves the room, he opens it up on his DJ player, whatever he's got, puts the vinyl on and thinks, screw her. I'm going to just summon up this madness, whatever it is.
It was a great part as well, though, when Bridget was possessed and she's attacking Danny and she was like, I told you not to mess with the book.
Which I felt like definitely added to the story and the whole scene of them earlier on as well. I like the fact that the whole, being possessed by the book did take to the kids as well. It wasn't just the mum that affected, because of course the sister does get it. Bridget, she does get it. Unfortunately, Danny does. Well, fortunately for me, he dies. Unfortunately for Emma. And then of course Cassie, the one who lives at the time anyway. So yeah, I thought that they had a really good scene in the kitchen, which we've just referred to. It's really bloody with Danny and Bridget as well. I thought that interaction was really, really cool. And then as the movie later kind of goes on, you get more Deadites, which I think kind of leans into something that we discussed anyway, about coming towards the ending of the movie when Beth and Cassie pretty much are trying to escape. They're trying to get down to the basement to get out through this high-rise building and just basically leave the whole place. And then all of a sudden, all the other Deadites of the residents in this high-rise building come alive all of a sudden. And before that point, they're all just dead in the kind of the hallway in this high-rise building. And we both said, you know, why did they not come alive before that point and try getting to
try
the
and all
flat?
get in together.
Yeah.
Just seemed like very convenient timing for them to come back to life. But I mean, it was a funny part where there was a neighbour who was like, I'm gonna go get my shotgun. And so he goes and gets it and he dies holding it. And then he comes back as a deadite and he's like, that's my gun, you bitch. I'm just like, oh, you know, I mean, Americans, right?
I thought that was great. Yeah, I really enjoyed that line.
I will say some of the Deadites have some really funny lines. Like there's a part where the mum is trying to get in, Ellie, and the sister, Beth, is holding the door closed, and Ellie's like, open the door like you open your legs, you groupie whore. And I was a bit like, oh, that's really funny, that's really clever.
I was laughing at that part. I thought that was a funny line. But anyway, we get to the next scene, which goes into the elevator, where this is like pretty much where all the blood budget goes to. Yeah. Basically.
Really cool scene.
Really cool scene. Definitely a kind of like call back to The Shining, I would say personally. Of course, it does something different, but it's definitely referencing The Shining.
Oh,
which
definitely, yeah.
Everyone knows the blood famous scene if you've seen The Shining. If you haven't, you've probably seen that scene at least. Which I liked. I liked that scene. I think you enjoyed it more than me, though.
Yeah, I was gassed when I was watching it because it was like explained why the lift dropped because the lift wasn't moving. And
I like that part. It explains
because like the weight load, and then when they come filling out of it, and I was like, oh, that is really cool. And it's a scary part because basically the mum and the two kids who were deadites at the time, they all merge into one, and then they're in the vents trying to get into the lift. So they follow it down and explains why all the other deadites didn't. So they get out the lift and they go out into the car park and you're like, oh my God, the car's working and they're going to get out. Because usually it's always something, isn't it?
Right.
And then they're like, oh my God, she's coming and stuff like that. And the car gets stuck in a pothole. And that's like the big thing. You're like, oh, they're not getting out. And then
I like that as well.
Yeah,
it wasn't just the abomination that stopped the car.
So
like an actual pothole of the earthquake stopped the car. Yeah.
So then they're trying to get out, and the shutters on the gates are coming down, and they both roll under, and you're like, oh my God, they've made it out. Like, this is so good. But then you look at your watch and you're like, oh, there's still 20 minutes left. So the mum grabs the little girl and drags her away, and honestly it was so sad seeing her sad because like she was a good little actress actually, because like you felt sorry for her and she was a cute kid and you're like, oh God, no, she's gonna get killed, they're gonna go that route, they're gonna kill the little girl. And luckily the auntie to the little girl gets in and picks up the chainsaw.
Right, which was conveniently there, by the way.
With the wood chipper.
With the wood chipper or grinder, whatever it was. Now, again, we were talking about this in the car. And, of course, the whole plot of the movie right at the beginning is like, oh, they're going to be knocking this high-rise building down within, like, a month. It's time or so. And, I mean, it might just be me, but I was like, well, these high-rise buildings look pretty new from the outside. I might be wrong. It might be hundreds and hundreds of years old. I don't know. But they looked fairly new. Like the insides, like the hallways looked quite clean and presentable and not run down or anything like that. But yeah, so wood chipper was in the basement in an actual parking lot, bear in mind as well. Which wasn't like secluded off in a corner for construction. It was just out there, you know?
Well, I will say, I was reading and apparently the chainsaw and the wood chipper belonged to the guy with the gun whose cat kept getting stuck in the vents. It belonged to him.
Okay.
And I was like, well, why does he need that for? And why has he left them out? So I don't know.
Yeah.
It was very conveniently placed, but I'm pleased they were there because it gave us our ending.
It does. Yeah, I was saying to Emma, I was saying that I would have liked even just one like little quick snippet during the earthquake right at the beginning when it happens, for just the chainsaw. You just saw it on the ground because obviously no one else is going down at that time. There was an earthquake. Everyone stayed in their apartments. But even just like a little quick snippet so you knew it was there. But right at the end, it just kind of comes out of nowhere. But yeah, it does lead to that ending, as you're saying, where Beth's facing off against this abomination.
I mean, they called it the abomination in the last movie, so it's what I'm calling it this time. People have been referring it to as a monster, but it's like the monster is on top of the wood chipper and turns it on. They're trying to pull Beth into it. And then Beth gets the chainsaw and starts hacking away and putting them through the wood chipper, which was a really cool scene. There's blood going everywhere. She's covered, the little girl's covered. Oh, it was a really good way for this big bad creature that was like really scary to die. Because it's full on dismemberment. It's what they needed really. So it was very convenient. The little girl and
Beth. So
and
Cassie
and Beth, they get away. And
well,
then
they start walking away. You don't see them after that, but they start. So you assume they get away, yeah.
But then cut to the next day. The girl from the beginning, she comes out of her house. The lift's not working. She goes down the stairs. So she lives in the same apartment buildings. She's on the 5th floor. They're on the 14th floor. So she's heard nothing. I mean, you would have thought.
With the lift crashing
the
as
lift
well.
Crashed. There was blood everywhere. But anyway, she's on the phone. She's like, "Oh, hey, girl. Yeah, we're going away. There'll be some cute guys and stuff like that." And then she sees all this blood, and like any girl in cinema, she's like, "I'm gonna go check it out." And so she goes over, and then it ends with the entity going through the sky and basically coming for her. And then she goes to the cabin,
right, which leads into the first scene.
So it kind of leaves it open, maybe for this to be spread around. Does she get back to mainland and keep spreading along this deadite, curse? So, and there's no way that the friends that she was with at the beginning could have stopped it because they didn't have the Necronomicon. So they were screwed from the start. They were snookered from the start, weren't they? So
yeah.
Yeah, it's a good way. So the book's still in the apartment. There's still deadites in the apartment. So there's multiple ways it can go, and I think depending on how this grosses, they probably will do another one because I feel like they have left it open.
If they're going to make another movie and explain the start of this one and then the ending, I think that would be justifiable and it'd be cool to see what they do. But at the minute, because there's no confirmed sequel, I was saying to Emma, for me personally, it felt a bit didn't need to really be there because if we don't get a sequel, what was the whole point of that arc?
They're going to go for a sequel. What I would like to see in the sequel, because we found out that the priest found 3 books, and in Army of Darkness, Ash has got 3 books in front of them. So there's 3 different versions of the book. So I think that makes sense for the 3 movies. So you have Ash's version of the book, you have Mia from the remakes version of the book, and now you have Ellie's version, not Ellie, who Beth survived. Beth's version of the book. So you have the 3 different storylines with the 3 different books, 3 different kind of deadites. So it'd be cool to see a sequel where all of these books somehow find their way together. And that would be a good ending, I think, to all of this evil. Because Bruce Campbell said he's hung up the chainsaw, so I doubt he would be on board for another one. But that would be such a cool way to end it. You've got the 3 books. This is how they end it for real. But then I don't know how they would do it, to be fair. It's just what I would like to see, because it just seems a bit strange. They mentioned the 3 books again. We have 3 stories now. Bring them together. That'd be so good. I think that'd be a really good way to end it all.
Alright, so that is our thoughts on Evil Dead Rise. Just before we go, Emma, what would you give this out of 5?
I'll give it like a 3.5. The more I sit on it, the higher it is going. So maybe 3.5, yeah.
And I'm about the same, between 3 and 3.5 as well. I definitely think maybe on a rewatch, maybe I'll appreciate it more. But yeah, either way, I hope you've enjoyed both of our thoughts. Thank you to Emma for, of course, being on the channel once again. What I might do in the future is when we go see a horror movie in the cinema, do a joint collab review, because Emma is the queen of horror, so to say, and I've learned a lot through the movie. So yeah, thank you guys for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, give it a big thumbs up. Comment down below, let us know your thoughts on Evil Dead Rise, and subscribe to the channel if you already haven't. And until next time, we'll be seeing you later.
Bye.
See you, everyone. I've also launched merch, so you can actually get a hold of some Did You See That official merch by clicking the link down below in the description box. But over on my Patreon, memberships start from £2 per month. You can also request for me to watch movies and review them here onto the channel. Plus, it includes so many more perks. So definitely click that link down below, guys, in the description box to join Patreon today. And I also want to give a big thank you to all my awesome supporters over on Patreon who help really support my channel. And they also have YouTube channels as well. So their names will be down below in the description box. Please go subscribe to them and go show them some love.